We're at the old Kirk of Weem, now the Mingus Mausoleum, and this is one of the old stones that you can see outside here. It's you can almost trace what they were. Their job, obviously their time had run out. The coffin, the angel, they're going to heaven, and the person in the middle themselves. It's a remarkably good condition, this stone. I assume that for a lot of the years it was lying face down. It's a very few of the stones that you have that amount information on. And it's sitting just beside the original door into the kirk, which you can see up there. The church itself, there's been a religious building in this area from the 1200s. It's dated in the 1200s. The first of the saints, the Celtic saints, was Columba. He was on his way to Dunkeld, came through this area. And then you had Eonin, who settled in this area, trying to convert the Picts. And slightly later you had Cuthbert, and Cuthbert is more associated with Weem here. And the church here is called St. Cuthbert's Church. The building we see just now was more than likely constructed around the time of the Castle Mingus itself. So the middle to late 1500s. Extensive renovations were carried out at the time of the Reformation, and it was enlarged out the back and up the front. So it's reputed to be one of the oldest churches in the area. Possibly ages with St. Margaret's down at Grantley. Certainly the same sort of low roof, long building. We are now going to walk in the west door, and again above the west door we have a remembrance of Alexander Mingus and Margaret Campbell, the chief and his wife at the time of the Restoration in the 1600s. Inside the kirk we have more old gravestones, which are more than likely some of the earlier chiefs buried in here, certainly nobles of some sort buried. You've got his face there. This one here has obviously been out in the weather because you can just very, very slightly make out symbols on it, but not very good. Down the other end of the church, this end of the church is the altar end, which can be signified from the old pre-Reformation, confirms it's a pre-Reformation church with the two indentations in the wall. And that's where the communion chalices would be on show prior to the service. The gravestone we've got here in front of us is one of the oldest and best preserved, because you've got the knight and his lady, and you've got all his children. There's a young knight in that one, and you've got the skeleton. So you can read how many children he had. Unfortunately, you can't read the date he died. The stone next to it with the cross on it is the stone that used to sit at St. David's Well up above here. St. David being one of the old clan chiefs who decided to hand the clan over to his son and became a hermit and lived in a cave at the back of Weem. Slightly newer stones, but again being quite badly damaged by dirt, damp and erosion. These big stones would have sat flat on the ground, and therefore they were open to all the elements. One of the interesting pieces of stone we've got in here is a cross from the top of a building. Unfortunately, it's lost one part of the cross. It's possibly was on the top of this church, the original church, when it was found here. And this is the second one of the four that stood round the area at Dull. There's another one still in Dull. Again, it's lost one of its side crosses, and there is still one missing, and nobody's quite found it. The rumour is it's possibly in a dike somewhere. But these two crosses you see here were used as gateposts in Cumcerny Cottage until it was pointed out that there was a curse on anybody that moved them and misused them. And I believe the factor who was in Cumcerny Cottage at the time actually got injured, if not killed. So the crosses were immediately moved from the gates. And you can see the damage when they were used as a gatepost in some of them. The most remarkable feature in the kirk is the monument, dated 1616 and erected by Sir Alexander Mingus of Mingus as a tribute to his ancestors. It is a most unusual genealogical record recorded in stone. It has been described as an important example of Renaissance work, attributed in design and execution to native skill. At each end of the cornice above the arch is a figure kneeling. These undoubtedly represent on the left Sir Alexander, and on the right his first wife Margaret Campbell. The impaled arms and monograms are carved on the central pediment. Above, surrounding all, is a tablet displaying a figure with arms raised, presumably representing the Almighty or Christ's ascent. A surprising addition at a time when the Reformed Church strictly forbade such effigies. Supporting the cornice are two large figures representing the left faith. His open book reads, "What is done without faith is sinful," and on the right, a conventional depiction of charity. The whole monument is richly decorated with scrolls, wreaths, angels, cherubim, and memento mori. On the back of the arched recess of the Mingus monument is a panel with a dedication inscription, which translated reads, "My mother is of the royal stock of the Britons of Athol, and Lawes is the house of my grandmother. My great-grandmother is a fair daughter of Huntly, and my great-great-grandmother is from Edsel sprung. To the shade and memory of the famous and noble hero, Alexander Mingus of Weem, and to the memory of Campbell, his wife, both of whom, for the sake of the good name of their ancestors and posterity, undertook the building of this monument." The clan crests that you see all the way around the monument are from the families that are mentioned in the middle. And the easiest ones to point out is the Campbell of Godalming one, which is up in the left there. On the floor here, we can see the burials of the clan chiefs. The first one we see here is Sir Neil Mingus of Mingus. He was the one that took the clansmen to meet Queen Victoria at Taymouth Castle in 1842. He was the father of Sir Robert Mingus of that ilk, the 7th Baronet. As you can see from there, born in the 26th of September 1817, and he died on the 22nd of April in 1903. His wife, Anne Balcarres Alston Stewart, Lady Mingus, the wife of Sir Robert Mingus. Their son, Robert Fletcher Mingus, born in 1863 and died in November the 26th, 1872. Now have the daughter of Sir Robert Mingus of Mingus, Caroline Elizabeth Winford Mingus of Mingus. She was the sister of Sir Robert, and she is also remembered in this dais at the edge of the Mingus monument. We have the last of the main line, Sir Neil Mingus of Mingus, who died not long after his father in 1910. He was succeeded as chieftain by his sister, Egidia Charlotte Mingus, and she died in 1918, and she was the last Mingus that lived in Castle Mingus. We now have the stone of Fletcher Norton Mingus. He was the brother of Sir Robert Mingus, died a few years after him in 1905. He was quite a character in the area. He was in university with Sir Robert as well, and both they took part in the boat race. And he was the secretary of the Royal Highland Society for a great number of years. He farmed for a period at Tarini. The gravestone beside him is that of his wife, and she was a Stuart Mingus of Kildares, and so related to the present chief's family. The hatchments round the wall. The kirk contains an unusual collection of hatchments. They are funeral banners. They are paintings of the arms of a deceased person conventionally placed in a black shaped frame. It was usually hung at the entrance to the deceased house and later placed near the tomb. They often had the impaled arms of a man and his wife. The man on the right hand side of the shield and the wife on the left hand. The background of the arms is painted black on the side association with the deceased and white on the side of the living partner. In the case of an unmarried lady, the shield bearing her arms is lozenge-shaped and surrounded by a ribbon tied in a bow above. An example of this is the hatchment of Caroline Elizabeth Mingus, a beloved daughter of the house who died in 1845, aged 15, and she is the one that's commemorated in the marble bust at the side of the monument.